We're in volume 5 of the Bible story by Arthur S Maxwell. Okay. And we are part 1, story 6, The Cloud Like a Man's Hand. Seeing the people on their knees before God, Elijah gave orders that the prophets of Baal, who had led them into such wickedness, should be seized and put to death. Nobody left a, Nobody lifted a hand to save them. Quickly he led them down to the brook of Kishon and killed them all. Then he turned to King Ahab, who was watching everything that had happened that day, and said, "Get thee up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of abundance of rain." Ahab was glad for a chance to eat, but Elijah climbed up to the summit of Carmel again and cast himself down upon the earth and put his face between his knees. In other words, he bowed his head and prayed. There was nobody on the mountain top now except the prophet and his servant. The crowds had gone, leaving a great stillness and loneliness. Bowing low before God, Elijah poured forth his thanks for this day's victory, for the swift answer to his prayer, for the flash fire from heaven, for the defeat of the prophets of Baal, and most of all, for turning the hearts of the people back to God. What wonderful day it had been, like to that when the Red Sea opened, or that the Jordan dried up before Israel. Not for many, many years had God revealed his power so gloriously. But now, thought Elijah, it is time for the rain to come. The people were sorry for their sins. They had turned against Baal and had helped to get rid of all his false prophets. Now God could bless them again, if he would. "Oh God," cried Elijah, "send the rain." He knew it would come. He was sure of the rain as he had been of the fire. Had he not already told Ahab that he had heard the sound of it? Yet he prayed, raising his head, and said to his servant, "Get up now and look towards the sea." The servant obeyed, but soon returned, saying, "There is nothing." Again Elijah bowed as he prayed, asking even more earnestly that the rain might come. Then he sent his servant down a second time to look over the sea, but the sky was still cloudless. 6 times this happened, and yet there were no sign prayer that his prayer had been heard. When the servant went the 7th time, he looked, and he turned excitedly, saying, "Behold, there is a rise of a little cloud out at sea, like a man's hand." That was enough for Elijah. He needed no other token. Small as the cloud was, only the size of a man's hand, in a great vault of heaven, he was sure it was an answer was God's answer. He could almost feel the rain already. Hurry, he said to his servant. Go tell Ahab and say to him, prepare thy chariot and get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. As Elijah followed his servant down the mountainside, the tiny cloud grew swiftly larger and larger, till the heavens were black with clouds and winds, and there was great rain. The storm and the darkness caught up with Ahab as he fled on his chariot for shelter. The deluge soaked him to the skin. The wild wind tore his clothing. The crashing thunder frightened his horses as they dashed onward through the night. Suddenly, as a flash of lightning threw a bright, swift glare across the storm-swept countryside, the worried king saw a figure running ahead of his chariot. Who could that be? Another flash. Again he glimpsed the figure. The man was still running, seemingly without effort, and as fast as the horses. Now Ahab recognized him, Elijah, the man of the mountaintop, the man of the fire and the rain, the man of God, guiding him home through the dark. And the hand of God was on Elijah, and he, this connects, ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. Jezreel, that's what it says. And it has two illustrations. The top one, of course, is the servant seeing the storm cloud over the sea. And then the second one is Elijah running in front of the horses and the lightning strike. I like the story. I like all the stories. Ooh. Okay, well, that was, like I said, it's time for a break. That was part 1, story 6. So we're going to stop. And the reason why I said ooh is apparently these books are so old that some of the prints on the other page. That's why I said ooh. And we'll stop and we'll go to the next story in just a second. So, see what happens.